Hi guys, this is Crystal from Glittery Crystals, and today I will show you how I made this peekaboo shifting color peacock cup. Wow, that was a tongue twister. I really enjoyed making this cup. This is a unique cup. I love the glitter. I love especially the phrase that it has. I love what it says, and I'm excited to show you how I made it. So let's get started. I have already prepped, cleaned, and spray painted my cup. I use this satin black finish, and the amount that I used for this cup was 3 to 5 mLs. I actually mixed more than what I used because I was also going to glitter another cup. Uh, and but that's the amount that I use, from 3 to 5 mLs. It really varies from the size and the style of the cup that you use, but this is a 30-ounce modern curve, and this tumbler I purchased it from Hogs, and I really love this style. So we are applying our epoxy to the cup. We will need it to have a thin coat of epoxy because that's going to be the method we will be using to glitter our cup. If you don't like the epoxy method to glitter your cups, you can by far use Mod Podge, Loctite, any spray adhesive. It's really up to you how you want to glitter your tumbler, but regarding the chunky, for me, this is the best method. So once we already epoxied the cup, I will use my heat torch just to pop any bubbles and try to make it even. This is the glitter that I will be using. It's from our collection, Showgirl. It's a beautiful chunky mix. It really varies the color depending on the color base that you use. In this case, I used black base. Therefore, you will see more of the gold blue color shift. But if you use pink, white, or any lighter color, it will reflect differently. That's what I love about iridescent glitter, that you can get different styles with that same glitter. So we will be applying the glitter freely, and as you can see, I'm trying to capture any glitter that's falling off with this computer paper, and that way I can be able to reuse it. So now that our cup has been fully covered with glitter, I will start patting it down. As you can see, I'm being very gentle. I don't want to use a lot of force because if you do, since the epoxy has not been cured, the glitter will be sliding around everywhere. And if you don't have enough glitter to cover those patches, once it has cured, you will be able to notice that there's glitter missing. Once it's been set, I will let it spin for 6 hours and stop the turner and let it sit for another 8 additional hours. Once it has been curing for those 12-14 hours, I will apply my first full coat of epoxy. I will be using 30 mLs, 15 part A and 15 part B. As you can see, my epoxy looks cloudy. It's not necessarily that it has not been mixed properly, but I don't mind the bubbles. So that cloudiness is because of the air bubbles that are in the epoxy. I don't mind the air bubbles because I will be using my heat torch and I will be able to get rid of them once I have applied the epoxy to the entire cup. We will again let it spin for 6 hours and let it sit for an additional 6 to 8 hours, depending on the climate. A lot of conditions vary, but let it spin for 6 hours, let it sit for an additional 6 hours, and once that time has passed, we will apply a second layer of epoxy. I applied a second layer because you can still feel some bumps from the glitter, the chunky glitter. And at this point, we don't want to sand it because we are risking going through the epoxy, breaking through the epoxy, and scratching the glitter. So that's the reason why I will be adding a second coat. Now that it has fully cured, as you can see, I did sand this cup. After the second coat, I sanded the cup down. It's really smooth. I will be applying a third layer of epoxy. It's the same method, the same amount. I will let it spin for 6 hours and I will let it set for an additional 6 hours. If you have never made a cup before and you're scared that if you sand it, it will look dull, don't be afraid. As you can see here, once you sand, it will start looking very dull. But once you apply a thin layer of epoxy, you will see that the shine of the glitter will come back to life. After it's been cured, this is how the tumbler looks. It's smooth. If you use fine glitter rather than chunky, you will not need to use 3 coats. With 1 or 2 coats, you will be fine. Now I will be using this white semi-gloss spray paint to cover the entire cup. After the spray paint has fully dried, we will be removing it. As you can see, I already started a section. We will be using acetone, 100% acetone, and I used paper napkins. You can use anything that you can dispose of right after you're done with this project. So we will drench our paper towel. That's what I did. I drenched my napkin and I just started rubbing it. The area that you want to expose your glitter, that's where you will start rubbing the cup. After I have been done removing the spray paint, I used a clean napkin with rubbing alcohol and I just cleaned over those spots that I removed. I just want to make sure that any of that spray paint has not been smeared all around it. I want it as clean as possible. Now, after letting it fully dry, I will be applying epoxy. Again, 30 mLs of epoxy. This cup did use quite an amount of epoxy, but it is all worth it in my opinion. The process to epoxy a cup is the same. We will apply a coat of epoxy. We will use our heat torch, let it spin for 6 hours, let it sit an additional 6 to 8 hours, and we will be ready for our next step. Now I will be applying a decal and some images to the cup. I am just trying to make sure that I have enough space where I'm going to put my vinyl. This is a clear water slide paper that I used for these images. Once they have completely been sealed and dried, I cut around them. Since it's clear, I do not need to be precise on where I cut the wide part out. I put my image on warm water, let it sit there for a few seconds, 10-15 seconds, just enough time where I start to remove the backing of the paper and it easily comes right out. So once I apply it to the cup, I remove the white backing and I start pressing it with a dry towel. You need to be gentle with the image. If you use a lot of force, you can rip the image or start making these stretch marks, which you don't want. You will be repeating this step with all of your images. As you can see here, since our cup is wet and the image has not fully dried, if you don't like the position where you put your image, you can easily slide it to where you want it positioned. You can also apply this image as a tattoo face down and just removing the image. It's the same way you can do it face up or face down. Once you are completely satisfied with your masterpiece, we will make sure that there's no air bubbles. Just making sure that everything is completely patted down before we apply our vinyl. So we will be applying our vinyl. I use two different vinyls, the black vinyl and a gold metallic vinyl. After I have applied my black vinyl, I will be applying the gold one. As you can see, the word admire was not placed in a good area. The glitter doesn't let you see that word. It takes away the beauty of the vinyl. So I continued applying the rest of the words, but at the end, I decided to remove that word and place it on top of the word someone. And by changing the position where that word was, you are able to read the entire quote without having to move the cup around. Now I will apply my last coat of epoxy. At this point, I am 100% satisfied with how the cup looks. I have cleaned the rim of the cup. Everything looks fine. And this is the last coat of epoxy. I am also using 30 mLs total. And once again, after I have fully epoxied the cup, I have torched it, let it sit, let it spin. It's already cured. And this is the final result, you guys. I really love this cup. I love, love, love the quote. I think that quote matches so perfectly with this peacock cup. I just love this cup. I love all the cups that I make. I'm addicted to making cups and glitter and all of that jazz. If you recreate this cup or make an inspiration cup based on this one, please share it with us on our Facebook or Instagram page. In the description below, I will leave the link to our glitter showgirl, and I hope to see you back soon. Thank you for sharing this time. Thank you for stopping by. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, share it with your friends, and see you on the next video. Bye.